I want to start this video with a feeling I think we all share but rarely name. The feeling that our world is shrinking. We grew up with an internet that felt like a vast, chaotic ocean where you could stumble upon anything. It was wild, it was weird, and it was human. Today it feels like a high security hallway. Every turn is predetermined, every door is labeled with your name, and every discovery is actually just a calculation. We aren't exploring the world anymore. We're just wandering around inside a mirror of our own past behavior. The walls aren't made of stone, they're made of lines of code designed to keep us comfortable, predictable, and most importantly, profitable. It's frustrating because it's so subtle. You don't wake up and decide to see the same 5 topics every day. The algorithm decides for you. It builds a profile of who it thinks you are and then spends every waking second trying to confirm that bias. This isn't just about showing you more of what you like, it's about preventing you from ever seeing what you might like. We're being robbed of the chance to evolve. If you clicked on one specific type of video 3 years ago, the machine still thinks that that's the core of your identity. It's a digital static that prevents us from moving forward. The structural impact of this is profound. According to a 2026 report by the Joint Research Center, the increased digitalization of the information space and the use of algorithms to influence what people see online is creating fractured realities. The report highlights that platforms are now optimized to exploit human cognition, making it increasingly difficult for audiences to find common ground on what is true or false. We're living in a society where the consensus is being replaced by ideologically segregated information silos. And the result is a society that can no longer agree on the most basic facts of our existence. I feel it every time I open an app. I'm not looking for content, I'm looking for a spark, a surprise, or a challenge. Instead, I get the mathematical average of who the machine thinks I was yesterday. We've traded the serendipity of the human experience for the frictionless efficiency of a feedback loop. This isn't progress, it's a form of cognitive stagnation. We're the first generation to be parented by an algorithm, and we're starting to realize that the convenience we were promised was actually a cage. There was a time when discovery was an active process. You found a band because a stranger in a record store mentioned them, or you found a life-changing book because it was sitting on the wrong shelf. That's called serendipity, the joy of finding something you didn't know you needed. Algorithm culture has declared war on that feeling. If a machine can predict exactly what you'll buy or watch with 99% accuracy, it will never show you the wild card. Why would it? The wild card is a risk to the conversion rate. The wild card might make you stop scrolling and actually go live your life. This focus on precision is killing the unexpected. We're being fed a diet of more of the same, which sounds harmless until you realize that creativity itself requires the collision of unrelated ideas. When you only see things that align with your current tastes, your creative horizon collapses. The algorithm is a janitor that cleans away all the messy human bits that lead to true inspiration. It's why every coffee shop now has the same aesthetic, every viral song has the same beat structure, and every movie trailer feels like it was cut by the same hand. We're optimizing the soul out of our culture. The cost of this optimization is a measurable flattening of our creative diversity. A 2025 study published in the journal Law, Technology, and Humans argues that this curated life is a direct opposite of a serendipitous life. The researchers found that online algorithms trap users in U loops, creating a phenomenon they call aesthetic sameness. This is a structural blending of culture where art, fashion, and thought all move toward a mathematical mean. By removing the friction of the unknown, platforms are effectively deleting the unusual from our collective consciousness, and that's a very scary thing. I'm personally so tired of aesthetic sameness. I'm tired of every single digital recommendation feeling like a lukewarm glass of water. It's frustrating to realize that our tastes aren't being expanded, they're being managed. We're losing the strange and the unusual because the algorithm views those things as bugs, not features. If it can't be measured, categorized, and sold back to you, the algorithm doesn't think it exists. It doesn't want it to exist. We have to fight to keep the world weird, or we'll wake up in a decade living in a world that's been sanded down to the most boring possible version of itself. Let's talk about the physical sensation of being managed by an algorithm, the infinite scroll. It is a masterpiece of psychological engineering, and it is perhaps the most predatory invention of the 21st century. It was designed to exploit our stopping cues, the natural signals our brains use to tell us we're done. In the physical world, a book has a last page, a TV show has credits, and a conversation has a goodbye. The feed is a bottomless pit of novelty that resets your brain's dopamine baseline every few seconds. It's like a casino where the doors are locked and the clocks have been removed. It's an exhausting way to live. We've all been there. You pick up your phone to check the weather, and 45 minutes later, you're watching a video of someone cleaning a carpet in a country you've never visited. That is not an accident. It's a result of billions of dollars in R&D aimed at keeping your thumb moving. This isn't a tool that you use, it's a system that uses you. It's a fight against a supercomputer that knows your weaknesses better than you do, and it is a fight we're currently losing. The biological toll of this is also starting to come to light. According to 2026 research published in Frontiers in Psychology, the implementation of algorithmic management and constant digital surveillance triggers experiences of dehumanization. The study found that users frequently feel reduced to mere data points, experiencing heightened levels of loneliness, cynicism, and techno-stress. The research highlights that constant pressure of algorithmic curation disrupts the psychological contract we have with ourselves, leaving us feeling drained and disconnected from our own intentions. It makes me angry to realize how much of my life has disappeared into that 20-minute scroll. It's not a lack of willpower, it's a designed addiction. We're being harvested for our attention, and the algorithm is a combine harvester. Every time you scroll past an ad, a fraction of a cent is made at the expense of your time and mental clarity. We're trading our most precious non-renewable resource, our time, for a hit of dopamine that leaves us feeling emptier than when we started. The most dangerous thing an algorithm does isn't making you buy a specific pair of shoes. It's making you believe that your perspective is the only one that exists. By prioritizing engagement, algorithms naturally surface content that triggers strong emotions, fear, anger, and outrage. These are the sticky emotions that keep you on the platform. The algorithm doesn't care if you're happy, it cares if you're active, and nothing makes people more active than feeling like their way of life is under threat. And this isn't just about politics, it's about the erosion of our ability to communicate as human beings. We aren't being shown the truth, we're being shown the version of reality that keeps us clicking the longest. Over time, this creates a version of the world where the other side isn't just someone with a different opinion, they are a monster, they are an enemy. The nuance of the human experience is being flattened into a series of us versus them narratives. We're being fed a diet of conflict because conflict is the most profitable product on the internet. This is a documented systematic failure. A March 2026 study by the Behavioral Insights team titled Algorithms and Democracy found that platform amplification frequently overrides actual user preferences. By using avatars to simulate user behavior, the researchers discovered that algorithms disproportionately amplify sensationalist, polarizing, and ideologically skewed content even when users try to signal interest in balanced or centrist viewpoints. The study noted a consistent deterioration in content quality as platforms prioritize monetization over the user's actual desire for information. I look at the world today and see so much unnecessary division, and I can't help but blame the algorithm. We're being trained to view every interaction as a battle to be won or a signal to be sent. It's exhausting to live in a world where the loudest, most extreme voices are the only ones the algorithm deems irrelevant. We're losing our ability to see each other as humans because we only see each other through the distorted, high-contrast lens of a recommendation engine. We're also paying a mental health tax just to participate in modern society. The constant comparison, the 24/7 noise, and the feeling that you're always missing out are all features of the algorithm, not bugs. It's designed to keep you in a state of mild, constant anxiety because an anxious person is a person who keeps checking their phone for a solution. We compare our behind the scenes with everyone else's curated highlight reel, and the algorithm ensures that the highlight reel is all we ever see. For millennials, this is especially brutal. We remember what it was like to be off. We remember the quiet. Now that quiet has been colonized. Every moment of boredom is a moment the algorithm wants to fill with content. But boredom is actually where creativity and self-reflection happen. By killing boredom, the algorithm is killing our ability to know ourselves. We're becoming strangers to our own thoughts because we're constantly drowning them out with the thoughts of others. The consequences of this are clearly visible in our collective well-being. The JED Foundation's 2026 report on youth mental health trends warns that digital systems are currently optimized for engagement, not for care. The report highlights a growing concern that as connection becomes increasingly mediated by AI and algorithm, individuals are slipping into a state of digital isolation. The lack of human-in-the-loop safeguards means we are exposed to systems that shape our emotional development without any accountability for the long-term psychological damage they leave behind. I feel the weight of this every day. There's a specific kind of exhaustion that comes from being on all the time. We're being trained to view our lives as a series of postable moments rather than a series of lived experiences. The algorithm doesn't care about your well-being, it only cares about your dwell time. We have to stop letting the machines set the pace for our emotional lives. We have to reclaim our right to be bored, to be quiet, and to be offline. There's a term that's been gaining ground lately, Enshittification. It describes the inevitable life cycle of a platform. First, it's good to users, then it's good to advertisers, and finally, it's only good to the shareholders. We're currently in the final stage for almost every major platform we use. The search results are ads, the social feeds are suggested junk, and the original purpose of these social platforms to connect people has been buried under a mountain of monetized garbage. We're paying more and more for a product that is getting worse and worse. This is the logical conclusion of algorithm culture. When growth is the only metric that matters, quality is the first thing to go. The algorithm starts prioritizing twiddling, the constant adjustment of parameters to squeeze out a few more cents of profit regardless of how much it ruins the user experience. We're being held hostage by network effects. We stay on these platforms not because we like them, but because everyone else is there. It gives people a tremendous case of FOMO. It's a digital monopoly on our social lives, and the rent is our attention and our data. This process is now a standard framework for understanding the decline of the internet. As detailed in the 2025 study on platform decay by Cory Doctorow, platforms follow a predatory trajectory. They use high-quality offerings to lock in users, then degrade those offerings to favor business customers, and finally abuse both groups to maximize short-term profits. The study argues that enshittification is an inevitable consequence of the current tech business model, where platforms act as intermediaries that both hold buyers and sellers hostage while raking off an ever larger share of the value. It's infuriating to watch tools that used to be helpful turn into predatory obstacles. I just want to find a recipe or talk to a friend, but I have to fight through a dozen algorithmic barriers and sponsored interruptions to do it. The internet is becoming a cluttered, noisy mall where every shop is trying to pickpocket your attention. We're being treated like cattle in a digital feedlot, and it's time we started asking where the exit is. As we move toward 2030, we're seeing a shift where human is becoming a luxury. We have AI writing our emails, AI generating our art, and AI deciding what news we see. We're being optimized into a corner. If we aren't careful, we will reach a point where we don't even know how to think for ourselves anymore because we've outsourced our judgment to a machine. This is the loss of the human premium, the unique, messy, irreplaceable value of an unsimulated life. The machine can give you the correct answer, but it can't tell you what it means. The algorithm is a master of the average. It can tell you what most people like, but it can't tell you what you should love. When we let the algorithm lead, we're essentially letting a calculator decide our values, a bunch of ones and zeros. We're losing our intuition. We're losing the ability to trust our own gut because we're so used to checking a rating or a metric first. We're becoming users instead of humans, and that is a massive and tragic downgrade. This scarcity of the human touch is becoming a core trend in the economy. The 2026 Dentsu Media Trends Report, Human Truths in the Algorithmic Era, notes that in an age of total automation, trust has become the world's scarcest resource. The report suggests that the perfect algorithmic answer is actually becoming less valuable than a messy, authentic human interaction. As we're flooded with AI-generated noise, the human premium, the demand for transparency, simplicity, and real-world connection is becoming the most significant driver of value in the media landscape. I refuse to believe that a line of code can replace the complexity of a human soul. And I'm frustrated that we've let the machines set the pace for our lives. We've become so obsessed with optimizing our time that we've forgotten how to spend it on things that don't actually scale. We're more than our data, and it's time we started acting like it. The most rebellious thing that you can do is to be unoptimizable. So after all that, where is the hope? Well, the hope lies in the fact that we're starting to wake up. The algorithm is not a god, it's just a very expensive math problem. And like any math problem, you can choose to stop solving it. We're seeing a massive analog renaissance taking hold. People are choosing physical media, face-to-face gatherings, and slow living not as a trend, but as a survival strategy. We're realizing that the best parts of life happen in the moments that the algorithm tries to clean away. This is our chance to reclaim our agency. We can choose to seek out the wild card. We can choose to be bored. We can choose to talk to people who don't agree with us and be civil about it. We're seeing a shift from passive consumption to active curation. People are dumping their smartphones for dumb phones, journaling by hand, and building communities in the real world. We're rediscovering the joy of owning things, physical books, vinyl records, and real-world skills that can't be deleted or updated by a corporation. According to a 2026 trend analysis from Planoly, 2026 is being called the year of analog. There's a significant cultural shift moving away from temporary digital detoxes toward overarching lifestyle changes. Data suggests that social media usage has been in steady decline since its peak, driven by AI fatigue and a loss of intentionality. Users are intentionally seeking out phone-free social activities and tactile hobbies as a direct response to digital burnout. The trend is moving toward intention over perfection, prioritizing human-centered content over algorithmic performance, and I personally love that. I'm ending this on a positive note because I see the shift happening. I see my generation reclaiming their workshops, their gardens, and their dinner tables. We're learning to introduce noise back into the system, intentionally seeking out things that a machine would never recommend. We're taking the wheel back. And the algorithm culture is powerful, but it is ultimately a ghost. It only has as much power as we give it. Life doesn't have to be a digital prison. It can be a fantastic thing full of creativity, connection, discovery, and most importantly, humanity. All you've got to do is put down the phone and not let them win. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you've enjoyed it, make sure you hit that like and subscribe so you don't miss out on future deep dives. I also have a question for you. How have you found ways to beat the algorithm culture? I'll say one thing that I've done. Whenever I get together with friends for dinner, we have a strict no phone rule. No taking photos of the food or each other, just community, conversation, and a real good time. So let me know what you've done to beat the algorithm culture down in the comments. I would love to hear it. And with that, I will see you in the next video.